So, welcome to the first session. And our today's topic is academic library and information system. And in this topic, I'll be focusing first on the academic library and their development. Basically, when we talk of academic libraries, what we understand by this term, the academic library is an umbrella term which has three basic components therein. One is school libraries, another is college libraries, and third one is the university library. These are the three sub component of a umbrella term called academic library. Okay, when we talk of a generic definition of academic libraries, the Herald's Librarian's Glossary, it says academic libraries are those of universities, university colleges, and all other institutions forming part of or associated with the institution of higher education. What does it mean? It means there cannot be a library which is not attached to an institution. Forget for a while a conception of an academic library, but whatever libraries are existed in this world, whether they are special libraries or public libraries or academic libraries, they are the integral part and a sub organ of the institution to which they are attached. Understand? That means the libraries are in existence for helping the respective institution to which they are the internal part of the institution in order to achieve the goals and objectives a institution has. Understand? So the academic libraries are attached to the academic institution. A school library will be attached to a school, a college library will be attached to a college, and a university library will be attached to a university. These are the three basic components I have told you. One is the school libraries, another is college libraries, and university library. A academic library can be divided into three subcontents, and these are the three contents which I have spoken to you. As far as the school library is concerned, Harrod's Library Glossary says school library is an organized collection of books placed in a school for the use of teachers of pupils, but usually for pupils, it may comprise books of reference and or books for home reading and be in the care of a professional librarian, teacher or teacher librarian, where virtually called an instructional material center, a learning resource center or a media center. See, what normally this definition is trying to describe, it is saying that a school library house the books and other reading material, and that is there to help the students of that school who are looking to have some information resources for updating and upgrading their knowledge in the respective fields in which they are being taught by the teachers for different segments. Okay. Now, what are the objective of school library? There are several objectives of school library. Let's say, for example, the one of the objective is to acquire, process, and make available document with emphasis of non-book material such as globe, maps, etc., to serve the needs of the students and teachers. Now, why the emphasis on the pictorial material in a school library? The students are of children's basically, and their mindset is something different, and the age group of school students, they are belonging to that age where they are able to understand the things much better through images. Understand? If you are teaching a school student by pictorial method by using certain kind of pictures and certain kind of portraits and trying to make them understand, they will be easily understanding what is being taught. And therefore, the school library is required to acquire that kind of material which they will be utilized by that group of students who are of that stage of age which they like to learn through the pictorial material. Then, to provide user education to enable students to become skillful and discriminating users. Now, when we say the user education, what do you mean by user education? The user education is basically to inculcate in user, that is the student of a school, and develop their interest in acquiring, reading, getting some information, some material, some reading material, so that their knowledge is upgraded. So, how to make use of that information? That you teach, a school librarian or a school library tries to create that environment to teach the student that look, these are the information resources available with us, and therefore these are the ways to make use of them. So up bringing before them and helping and assisting them to access that information resources which is in your library are the part of your school or user education system. So you create awareness among the users through this. Then to create lifelong reading habit among students. Now, when we talk of lifelong learning, this is what? If you create a learning sense or learning habit among the student, and that becomes the part and parcel of their human life, right from the beginning of their age, that carries throughout the year. And that kind of inculcating of habit in the student matters for making their career and future. So that is also the school library which has to play that role, that before they leave the school education and they goes outside, by that time they have already developed the habit of learning, and this habit of learning goes to lifelong, isn't it? That means it is not restricted to year or 2 years or 5 years. It keep on going. The segment may get changed. The moment you are switching from one segment to the another segment, the need and the information requirement may get changed. But since you have developed the habit of learning, that will help you to learn in a different environment and a different segment in which you are switching over. That is why the school library has the onus that they should develop in you the lifelong skill for learning to play an effective role in school programs. Now, school is imparting education, school is giving you content education, school is teaching you as per your syllabus, and over and above, the school is organizing certain kind of activities for the overall development. Quiz programs may also there, then debates are there, and many more such kind of activities takes place in the school. And therefore a role of a school librarian or library becomes imperative and immutable, because a child when come in the school library and tell the librarian that I have to participate in a quiz program, and this is the domain of the quiz program, so the librarian will help to provide that kind of a material in that particular domain, and the student is being get ready by going through the resources being made available to them, and they go up and then they participate in those kind of programs with full confidence and full devotion in the kind of activity they are performing. To provide documents to supplement teaching and learning. Now, whatever has been taught in the class by the teacher is something different. But in addition to what is being not covered in the class by the teacher is the honors of the library and library information resources to provide those kind of documents also which enhance their knowledge, to provide light reading material for recreational purposes. That means what? When you are under stress, when you have read your textbooks and other things, you need to have some pleasure in reading. So you can read poetry book, you can read some kind of stories, isn't it? You can read something about the nationalism or patriotic kind of material. Students in a school may be brought to their notice that who were our freedom fighters, what role Mahatma Gandhi has played in freedom, what role has been played by Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose or what you call Shahid Bhagat Singh or Shahid Rajguru, the college in which we are sitting here, and many more legends. And over and above, even the people who have really developed and done for the prosperity of the society in the form of scientific evolution, scientific invention. So you can tell होमे बाबा कौन थे, है ना? You can tell महादेवी वर्मा कौन थी. You can tell प्रेमचंद मुंशी प्रेमचंद कौन थे. So I mean, the over and above the textbooks, you are trying to inculcate in them the habit of learning more attached to different kind of aspects which are amiable for anyone to learn and enhance the knowledge, to help them in becoming creative writers as well as critical thinkers. Now, in the beginning itself, you try to inculcate in the student to be a serious student, isn't it? And when he is serious, he is reading the content, he is enhancing his knowledge. Whenever you read something, it hammers your brain to debate on it, and that is the situation which helps you to enhance your perceptions and knowledge as well. Now, the functions of school library, basically the functions of any school library to provide the appropriate textbooks and other additional reading material which is related to the academic curriculum. तो टेक्स्ट बुक जितनी है वो तो है ही है. इसके अलावा अलाइड टेक्स्ट बुक से अलाइड रिलेटेड मटेरियल, वट एवर द मटेरियल इज देयर, that has to be acquired by the school library and then process it and provide to the student to enhance further in over and above the curriculum content which you have. It should procure handy document, illustrated picture books with bold and large font so as to create the interest in student for reading regularly. You understood? Something which attracts you. I have already told you that the school child has a different kind of mindset, different kind of likeness. Perceptions are different, and therefore the material which is acquired by the school library seems to be different in format, different in content as compared to a college or a university library. It provides suitable documents and information helpful in educational program and extracurricular activities of the school, providing current awareness service. Now, this phenomena of current awareness service you will find in almost every segment, almost in every type of library. Current awareness service is basically for updating your knowledge about what is currently happening surrounding you. As far as school library is concerned, you can provide current awareness service to upgrade the knowledge of the school students about their particular domain to which they are belonging to. The second component of a academic library system is college library. A library attached or associated with a college and used by teachers, students, and staff of the college is known as college library. Now, teachers were also there in the school. Students were also there in the school. But here, the students who were brought up in school had now entered into a new environment. And that environment is much more challenging for them. Their perception is changing. their outlook is changing, their anxiety and their anxiety is much more as far as the society and nature is concerned. And therefore, they are much more thirsty of knowing what is happening around the society, around the world, around the community in which they are surviving, and they enter in a college education which is also textbook oriented environment but supported by other reading materials as well. A college library represents a new environment with good number of reference books and journals in both print and electronic format, more services and facilities for the users, and a force or team of qualified professionals to help and assist as per their information needs. Now, what is happening is the functioning of a college library has been enhanced. The staffing pattern is something different. In a school library, one man show was there as a school librarian. The librarian was the person who was acquiring, who was processing, who was disseminating. But here you have seen that you have different staff to perform different type of activities which has been enlarged and enhanced therein. So the process of acquirement to the process of dissemination to the process of assimilation, and so is being enhanced, and therefore different tasks are being performed by different people, and they are qualified because the qualifications help them to perform their task up to more visibility, up to more effectiveness. As far as the objective of college library is concerned, they are to support the teaching program of a college, to provide reading material for independent study and research, to encourage lifelong learning among students, to make them more enlightened and knowledgeable, to support the objectives, missions, and vision of the college, to preserve documents for future use, to offer variety of services such as newspaper clipping, bibliographies, access to databases, etc. These are the objectives and the type of material which we have just spoken about it. They are related to the different segments which are essentially required for upgrading your knowledge. You have different type of resources there. You have dictionaries, you have bibliographies, you have biographies, you have gazetteers, you have globes, you have other cartographic material, and so and so. Over and above, you have subject encyclopedias, you have general encyclopedia, and they all are supplementing your textbook material which is acquired in the library. The objectives by the Education Commission India 1964-66. There was a Education Commission which was constituted in India that was called Kothari Commission. The government of India took the decision that after freedom movement, immediately after the freedom movement, the government of India set up a commission that is called Radhakrishnan Commission in 1946-48, and that commission immediately started in finding the status of the college and university library in the country, and that report says that the situation of the higher education system in the country was in turmoil. It was not healthier enough, and therefore the commission did many things that I will be covering you with you in the different lectures. But here we are talking something about the Education Commission, and this Education Commission has the objective to provide the resources necessary for research in the field of special interest to the college. Now, in a school, the education was provided under one umbrella term, that in that umbrella, social science was also taught, mathematics was also taught, language was also taught, and so on. So now in college, that umbrella has been opened. Now you are studying social sciences, you are studying natural sciences, you are studying humanities, and within these terms, the different subjects like physics, chemistry, mathematics, biology, है ना, history, political science, economics, Hindi literature, Punjabi literature, what not, to aid the teacher in keeping abstract of development in his own field. Now it is not the college library is not confined just to help the students of the college. The teacher community also should be help in upgrading and updating the knowledge to library facilities and services necessary for the success of all formal programs of instruction, to open the door to the wide world of books that lie beyond conditions which encourage reading for pleasure, self-discovery, personal growth, and the sharpening of intellectual curiosity. What does it mean? Now you see the school child has been growing. A school child who got education in the school up to the age of what? Up to the age of 16, 17, or 18-year old. Now that fellow is becoming adult, entering into the college education. His needs, his demands, his wants are changing as far as information is concerned. Now he wants to utilize his own skills, his own way of thinking, and trying to develop his इंटेलेक्चुअल क्यूरियोसिटी. ऐसा क्यों हो रहा है, किस लिए हुआ, क्यों ऐसा हुआ, इन प्रश्नों का जवाब वो अपने आप से मांग रहा है. और वो जवाब मांगने की स्थिति क्यों पैदा हुई? क्योंकि ज्ञान के सागर में डुबकियां लगाते हुए पुस्तकालय के माध्यम से मिलने वाली साहित्य सामग्री का प्रयोग करते हुए शिक्षकों के द्वारा शिक्षा को प्रतिपादित करने की प्रक्रिया के दौर से गुजरते हुए वो ऐसा महसूस कर रहा है कि अब वो इस स्थिति में है कि वो अपने इंटेलेक्चुअल क्यूरियोसिटी को भी डेवलप करे. सोना नहीं है, सोना नहीं है बेटा. ओके. Then, as far as functions are concerned, the W.M. Randall has spoken something about the different functions of a college library. It is makes available the books and documents required by faculty members in preparation of the instructional courses, provides supplementary books and reading material to help study and teaching of the college, provides comprehensive selection of authoritative books and documents needed by the faculty member to pursue their research program, promotes the proper use of the reading material available in the stock, trains the students in making use of library properly, and derive full advantage out of it, integrating the library with the educational courses to acquire and provide text and standard reference books to the student necessary to prepare for their examination. What does it mean? It means the college library is not supposed to make available the reading material to you. It is helping you to take your decisions to identify out of the material available which helps you for the preparation of examination, for the development of intellectual curiosity, for the development of your own perception related to a different segment or a part of the life. And that is why it is different from a school library. The third part of is the university library under the umbrella term academic library. A library attached or associated with a university and used by students, teachers, researchers, administrative staff, etc. of the university, as well as by the other research workers, alumni outside the university, known as university library. Now it has been expanded. Now the student who has entered in this environment is called the student of higher learning, student of higher education. Here the student has come for what? For identifying that area where he is going to make his career, his future. He will be specializing in a specific area where he would like to survive and sustain in his career. He will be making his professional growth. He will be making his academic growth. He will be trying to develop his mindset and his perceptions about a specific way of thinking and analyzing the society, analyzing the nation. What is good, what is bad, he would be there to determine on. He is passing through a phase of life where he will be doing some inventive, some advance for the prosperity of the society. His key role will be something different as compared to what was happening in school or the college. Objectives of a university library is conservation of knowledge. Conservation समझते हैं? Conservation means is preserving some material for future reference. Dissemination of knowledge through publication and extension program, helping the faculty and student to achieve highest academic honor and lifelong and lifetime good reading, adopting new technologies, establishing information centers and render readers advisory service, acquiring process of resources and make them available to the readers and users. Now, the important aspect is what to acquire. In a university libraries, acquirement of information resources is a challenging task, and therefore the acquirement has been transformed from the terminology called collection development and collection management that I will be talking to you in the second unit separately. Functions of a university library, Kothari Commission says, provide resources necessary for research in the field of interest of university, help the university faculty in keeping abreast of development in their disciplines. Now, different disciplines are being taught in university. You are the student of science, you are the student of humanity, you are the student of social sciences. Provide library facilities for the success of all formal instructional programs. Open the doors to the wide world of books that lie beyond the borders of one's own specialization. Bring books, students, and scholars together under conditions which encourage reading for pleasure, self discovery, personal growth, and sharpening of intellectual curiosity. These are the functions which has been defined by Kothari Commission as far as the functions of a university library is concerned. Now, there we are switching over to the next segment of our this unit is history and development of academic library in India. History always is very essential to know. Until unless you know what has happened in your past, you will not be really taking decision. You are not in the position to take the decision for the present and the future aspects of your decision making process. You must know what has happened in the past so that what had been done as a part of shortcoming should not be repeated, and what was the glorious thing which you have need to be carried forward so that the concrete perception, progress, and sustainability could be achieved. A library forming part of attached to a university, college, or any education institution is known as academic library and functions as an auxiliary to parent institution carrying out the objectives. Indian education, especially higher education system, is the oldest in the world. From ancient times, India has been considered the center of higher learning, institution, and libraries in the world. For example, Takshila, Kashi, Nalanda were considered the first universities in the world and regarded as intellectual capital of Indian higher education. And these institutions had a very good library. Now, if you look into the past of educational development of this country, the Nalanda and Takshila happens to be the education learning hubs. Even the students from other countries were coming and get education. And the Nalanda library was having three-story building. Think of it, three-story building in those times when you were not talking of something you could not imagine even in the modern world when you are having a lot of facilities for getting land and creating a library infrastructure. But still you do not find when you conduct a survey that the multi-story buildings of libraries existing in this country. Long history of academic library in India started from chained and closed access from the ancient time to present modern development. The studies of librarians have also changed from storekeeper of the library holding to information officer of navigator to modern library service. Days have gone. There was a time when the material would have been acquired and kept like a storeroom. And as and when some reader, some student would have come to find out that material, he would have been putting all effort herself or himself to search that material. Days have gone. Now there has been a concrete conception of organization of reading material and resources and providing them as a part of services and extend them to the doorstep of the readers to help them to remove their information hunger. In the Vedic age, instructions were imparted orally without the medium of books. Shruti and Shravan, the teacher would have spoken and the student would have heard. And through this process, he would have used his memory capacity of memorizing the things, and he would have been able to understand and able to mug each and everything which has been spoken by the teacher. Understand? These were the legacies of that kind of Vedic literature we used to teach now, that the Guru would have been transforming the entire knowledge through the process of Shruti and Shravan to the people, and the student would have bugged everything and all the Vedas, Samved, Arthved, Yajurved, and Rigved. These all will be mugged by a student orally, word of mouth, and he would have been able to tell each and everything which is there in the part of it. So that kind of a memory culture we had, that kind of a system we had, but now it has been completely transformed. In the ancient time, there were education centers like Turudala, Nalanda, Kashi, Vallabhi, Vikramshila. Taxila from 700 BC to 300 AD was considered to be the most respected seat of higher learning and education in India. In 400 AD, there came into being one of the biggest non-universities, the Nalanda University, which by 450 AD became a renowned seat of learning, its fame spreading beyond the boundaries of India. People from China were coming. People from Indonesia were coming. People from Taiwan were coming. People from other far east countries were coming for getting the education over there. And it is not me who is telling. The historical texts are there to tell, and the foreign travelers who have written over there. Fayan, Ising, Hugh Singh, isn't it? Ibn Babuta, and many more foreign travelers who came in India, and they have written their travelogue. They have written that these Nalanda and Takshila universities had attracted lot of research scholars and students from abroad, and they used to come and get education over here. The university library set up in these buildings, and they were known as Ratan Sagar, Ratna Didi, and Ratan Ganga. As I told you, three-story building, which you could not imagine even the present time, and that was done. Next, as far as medieval India is concerned, we do not have much to share with the present civilization, that there was something about the libraries and their development in medieval period. But still, whatever was there, the education in medieval period of India was confined to small group of people and private individuals who set up institutions of their own initiative and interest. When Muslim ruled India at the beginning of 13th century, special attention was given to libraries and taken care to establish educational institutions. There was no separate building was constructed for the use of library. Books were deposited and preserved in educational institutions or mosques. Muslim rulers were helped to unreach the libraries. The Tughlaq dynasty had built 1,000 madrasas, each having a library. Academic library in medieval period includes from Babur to Jahangir regime. In the period of India, they were very much fond of books and they have their own library. The period of Akbar's regime marked a new system of education in schools and colleges established not only at Fatehpur Sikri in Agra but also at some other places in India. It has the hope that Muslim education will be improved the Islamic people and has made certain change in the curricula of Madras education. The Hindu people were allowed to take part in the madrasa education. Now, madrasa education and the mosque education, these are the new component used for schools uh, through Buddhist destinies, viharas, and then followed by the Muslim culture. This period again can be grouped into two parts on the basis of Government of India, pre-independence India and independent India. When we talk of modern period for the college and university libraries, it can be divided in two parts. One part is under the British India government period, that is 1757 to 1947 up to 14 August, and rest group is independent Indian government period, that is 1957 from 15 August onward. You know that on 15 August we got freedom. The British rule started in this country, the East India Company came, and there was a battle which had decided the fate of this country, and that battle was fought between Sirajuddaula and Lord Clive. And the battle was won by Lord Clive, and the end of the Muslim period ended, and the East India Company took over. Initially, the East India Company claimed that they have come for doing the business, but slowly and gradually they have started capturing the Indian princess states, and that has been resulted into that the historians have very clearly documented and written that the economic exploitation was done by them. It was called Arthik Upnivesh War. Economical imperialism was established by them, and that has resulted into talking of something and then working on something by the Indian people as far as the people suffering on account of slavery, and they started talking of having the free India, and the freedom of India history started. And in 1857 there was a big revolt took place. Historians have different perceptions about. Somebody used that it was mutiny. There is a group of historians who are the Cambridge School of Historians, and they were supporting the Britishers. They said it was not a first war of independence; it was a mutiny that some soldier refused to make use of that cartouche, and therefore the resentment took place. But there are nationalistic authors, historians, and they said, no, it was the first war of independence. That first time the people started joining hands with each other and they revolt against the East India Company. And if that would have not been there, then the regime of East India Company would have not been over thereafter. And directly the British government from Great Britain took the charge of it, and the rule of East India Company was over. And now the first Governor General was appointed to look after the Indian administration. Academic libraries in India before independence, 1757 to 1947. There was a period when, in the library scenario, a person appeared who, at a later stage, turned the entire scene and became the father of library science in India. The man was none other than Dr. S.R. Ranganathan. The University of Madras appointed Dr. S.R. Ranganathan as its librarian in 1924. Things did change rapidly after his joining. For example, he introduced the lending and reference services at the Madras University Library. It is also true that, as compared to the first decades, the development of university libraries after 1924 did make better progress, but the college libraries were still neglected and were struggling to get their recognition. There were only 12 universities in India in 1924, and their numbers swelled to 18 by the time India got freedom in 1947. In fact, the academic libraries during the British rule had no significance in the academic life of the institutions of higher education, and the pivotal role that can be played by the academic libraries in life of the institution could very well be seen in the policy statement of higher education of the Free India. And the fact was also proven when, at the time of national reconstruction, the importance of libraries in teaching and research was recognized, and library received the early attention of government of India. The actual process of the development of university library in India can be said to be set in motion with the appointment of University Education Commission presided by Dr. S. Radhakrishnan in 1948-49 and its recommendation. Now see, what is much more important to understand and learn over here. We had seen 200 years of the rule of Muslims in this country, and we have seen that the education system, which was glorious in ancient India, was crushed because of a switching over in another civilization and their mindset as far as the higher education is concerned. That 200 years again was supplemented and taken over by the Britishers, and up to 1947 when we got free, the Britishers were taken away from this country. We got free, but from 1857 to 1947, there were a lot of committee and commissions were established by British government. Calcutta Commission 1902. Then there was another Education Commission 1904. Then there was India Education Act 1914, and then again India Education Commission in 1935, and then Sargent Committee in 1944. All they have been speaking something about doing the educational development, educational pursuit, and educational system for the people, and they have been claiming to the international fraternity that the Britishers are here to civilize the people because the Indians are not civilized, forgetting and just completely ignoring and closing the eyes on the glorious past of India in ancient time when the Nalanda and Takshila University were there and the people were coming from outside the world to get education. There was a stigma, there was a tag which was put by the Britishers, and they were saying that they are uncivilized. That is why we are doing educational development by setting the different committee and commission. But if you look at the historical development of all these things together, you find that by the time the 1857 took place, there were three universities they brought into existence. The establishment of Bombay University, establishment of Calcutta University, and establishment of uh, Madras University in 1857. Now, establishing of these universities was to suppress the kind of freedom movement which was getting up and spread it in the country. And they were trying to say, look, we are appointing you and we are giving the education commission for the development of higher education, and you are talking something about the freedom. Isn't it? We are here to civilize you. There is a parallel connection between the historical events taking place and the kind of action being taken by the British government that need to be understood, that need to be studied by the historians in that perspective, rather than understanding the terms that some committee and commissions were or set up by the British government during that period. Another important aspect is that when 1902 Calcutta Commission came, look at in 1885, there was a Indian National Congress which was established by A.O. Hume, and of that Congress was established none other than the Britishers itself. Look at that kind of exploitation would have taken place, that a Britisher would have realized that this is too much of, and then these people need to have the freedom from the Britisher, and that fellow came forward and constituted a Indian National Congress, under which the entire fight for freedom was fought. By the time we reached to 1902, isn't it? There was a lot of tumultus which were taking place in the entire country, and the people were crying and people were doing for the freedom movement. The launching of certain kind of agitations, movements, and everything was spread it. And in order to crush that, Again, they were one way they started putting off that look, we are giving a separate Calcutta Commission for the Bengalis. But at the same time, this resentment reached to the level that the British government has no other way except to have the partition of Bengal in 1905. There was partition of Bengal 1905 and the 1902 the Calcutta Commission. There must be some kind of correlation which need to be taken care of for that purpose. Then 1914 Roller Act, Roller India Act came, and at that point of a time, the Vernacular Act came, and there was a ban of Indian languages, and anything would have been written against the British would have been put under sentence of punishment under Article 122A of the Act of that time, and that what might have been one of the reasons that the authors of that time who wanted to write for enhancing and awaking and creating awareness of freedom movement, they were forced to have hide their name. And Premchand happens to be that fellow that his name was different and he was writing novels which were hammering the jamidari system, which was nothing but the system of exploitation which was used by the British therein. Lot of texts like Gaban, Godan, Seva Sadan, Rangbhumi, Karambhumi, and many other things. If you read, you would be able to really find it out that what would have been the situation and scenario at that time, that the Vernacular Act would have been passed by the Britishers to suppress the entire movement of freedom in this country. And why it? It is because there was a first World War started, and the Britishers and their allies, they were busy in fighting the first war. Okay, and then they gave India India State Government Act 1935. But by that time, 1935, if you look at, you will find that there were a lot of resentment and the political scenario was changed. Mahatma Gandhi had appeared there in 1920 as the non-cooperation movement, 1930, Savinya Avengya Andolan, civil disobedience movement, and 1940 42 Quit India movement. There was a combination of all these kind of activities apart from what was done by the Britishers for the educational development just to suppress the Indian national movement. And all the committee and commission which were founded at that time by them, their recommendations were dying on papers only. Nothing substantial could have been converted into. And that is why when we got free, we had only 12 universities in the country. That was situation is self-explanatory. That if the Britishers would have been taken care of, then in such a big country, only 12 universities would have not been enough to cater the higher education needs of the students. So these all are that part of it. Then there is no doubt that the recommendation of the commission were based on the needs of the modern library services in universities for the promotion of research and creative learning. Actual growth and development of higher education in India started after independence. The first committee and commission was constituted as the part of Radhakrishnan Commission in 1946. It was the first time that such detailed attention was paid to the library matters by Commission on University Education in India. That was 1946-48. Then University Education Commission 1948-49 by this Radhakrishnan Commission, I said the recommendation was made. Annual grants, open access system, working hours, organization of the library staff, steps to make student book conscious, and the need to give grant to teachers to buy books. These are the separate segments. First time in the entire history was given by the government to understand the value of higher education and vis-a-vis the libraries. Earlier, no British government, the British government or no committee and commission has spoken something about these kind of things which are amiable for the development of a college or the university libraries. The most comprehensive significant document on the university and college library in the report of the UGC Library Committee chaired by Ranganathan. The report was published by the University Grant Commission in 1959 entitled University and College Libraries. It was perhaps the first attempt by any library committee in India to systematically survey the academic libraries on a national basis, and it was also the first time that the government of India had decided to seek advice from a professional librarian regarding the academic library. Now, the government of India, free government of India, realized that we cannot think of developing higher education system until unless we talk of the development of libraries as such. And therefore, this commission has recommended the setting up of UGC on the pattern of UGC of Great Britain. The UGC of Great Britain is known as University Grants Committee, but our UGC was known as University Grants Commission. The term committee was replaced by commission, and in 1953, the government of India set up the University Grant Commission, and in 1956, the University Grant Commission was given the status of the full-fledged commission by an act of parliament, and that has came into existence. And nowadays, the UGC happens to be a institution which is responsible for the growth and development of college and university and higher education vis-a-vis the library in this country. Then Ranganathan Committee in 1957, the committee was to advise the UGC on the standards of libraries, building pay scales and library training. The formula suggested by the committee was that funds be given at the rate of rupees 15 per enrolled student and rupees 200 per teacher and research fellow. See, first time in the country, it was thought of that without money there cannot be development of library. So the finances were to be provided to the college university library, and therefore recommendation were per enrolled student. If 1,000 multiplied by 15, if 1 lakh multiplied by 15, so that means a recurring grant conception was started, and that is being implemented till today. All the college and university libraries are finding and receiving grant from University Grant Commission as a part of recurring. Then they came Kothari Commission 1964-66. This commission has recommended certain things. Say, for example, norms of financial support, long range planning for library development, the need for establishment of a well equipped library before the starting of university, college, or department, suitable phasing over the library grant, encouraging the student to use of books, interdisciplinary communication, documentation services in library. If see, first time in 1964, the term documentation was accepted by a commission. If you look at column classification, which came in 1933, and if you look at library science, the basic class, the last basic class of column classification of library science and with 9-7, that is documentation. And then sharpening of number after documentation would have been facilitated by using what? Empty digging, empty digging, and emptying digging by interpolation and extrapolation for sharpening and developing the classification schedule. And the seventh schedule of column classification was developed, but unfortunately, it could not be developed by people who were involved therein with this kind of soul and atma that it could have been worked over, and that is why it is dying slowly and gradually. The third aspect of this unit happens to be the role of libraries in formal and non-formal education system. The formal education is that education where, according to predetermined aims and methods of teaching, defined doses of knowledge and thrust into the mind of a child at a specific place during a set duration of time by a particular individual, for example, school, college, and universities, etc. जैसे अब हम और आप, we are imparting formal education. You are not the student of regular stream, so you by doing other things in your life together, you have got the privilege and facility that you are able to enhance your professional qualification through distance learning. And this is where this term has been used. Non-formal education is natural and incidental. There are no predetermined aim, curricula, method, teachers, and places where children receive information education. Role of life in formal education includes the hierarchical, structured, chronological, graded education system running from primary school through the university and including, in addition to general academic studies, a variety of specialized programs and institutions for full-time technical and professional training. Formal education is in classroom based provided by the 10 teachers. Formal teachers is systematic and guided by instruction. Formal learning takes place in courses offered at schools of various kinds and in training courses or programs on the job. Role of libraries in formal education. The important roles that libraries serve in formal education are illustrated by their physical form on university campuses and the number of courses that make direct use of library services and materials. Formal education corresponds to a systematic, organized education model, structured and administered. Formal education institutions are administratively, physically, and critically organized. In many respects, libraries serve as center of interdisciplinary places shared by learners from all the disciplines. This is we are talking of formal education system. Means when the teacher and taught have direct accessibility and direct knack of talking with each other. So if you have any problem, you can ask me. If I am imparting something, if you have any doubt, you can clarify it. So that is the beauty of it. Role of libraries non-formal education system. This is the learning through distance education or correspondence or open learning. These are the three different concepts which have paved the journey, starting from correspondence education to distance education and distance education to open learning when there is no barrier, no restriction, no rules, no classroom teaching, no essential counseling classes, etc., etc. Plus, you are free to adopt one paper to from this segment, another this one. Then you can also appear in the examination as and when you can wish. That kind of system has not been adopted by University of Delhi or School of Learning, but slowly and gradually, when the courses grows up, maybe that facility will also come that the student will be given the chance of appearing in the examination as and when he or she decides to sit in the examination and do. Much learning in life is informal, optimistic, and strictly under the control of the learner. Learners take advantage of other people, mass media, and the immediate environment. During informal learning, the public library system that developed in the US in the late 19th century has been called the free university. Since public libraries were created to provide free access to the world's knowledge, public libraries provide classic notification books, a wide range of periodicals, reference sources, and audio and video tapes so that patrons can learn about topics of their own choosing at their own place and style. The Americans have given this concept. We have adopted this concept, but we have not developed our infrastructure facilities as per what they have done it. They had a very clear cut understanding that the public libraries will be attached with this kind of a system. But we do not have good infrastructure facilities of public libraries in India itself. We have been talking of something of library legislation. We have been enacting of it. But still the situation of public libraries in this country is in a turmoil. And we do not have good public library system at all, except of Delhi library system, which has been created in Delhi. You do not find much of a good public library system around the country. Even the different public libraries like Hardar Public Library or Municipal Corporation Public Libraries and other kind of libraries or Marwadi Public Library or other libraries in Delhi, they are in a very turmoil situation. Reason being is that they are not having the backup from the respective government to maintain them and allow them to sustain. And that would have not been possible until unless there is a recurring grant for sustainability to them. And that recurring grants are not being made. And therefore, there had been an emphasis on passing of library legislation for the survival of public libraries through cess. But unfortunately, all the states have not passed these regulations. Reason being is that the education happens to be the subject of state. We have concurrent three lists in our constitution. One is centralized list, another is concurrent list, another is state list. Education happens to be a state subject. Therefore, the respective states had to take the decision and they have not taken the decision to universally accept it. The central government nowadays is talking of having a common one library legislation to be implemented therein, and therefore there is likely to be. I do not know whether what has been told by the Director General of RLF in a recent lecture, that the government is seriously planning to bring out a legislation in Parliament and pass this legislation, and take this subject of library development from the state and put in under the central list or concurrent list, and central government take the decision of passing a library legislation for the entire country and ensure the funds for each and every public library in this country for their development, so that the society can be, you know, directly attached with public library systems, and the society grows as far as the information and knowledge is concerned. Historically, libraries in the developed world have made strong contribution to non-formal education. The main advantage of libraries is its ability to link formal learning to more formal courses and identifying suitable opportunities. Libraries serve social and intellectual roles in bringing together people and ideas. That means what? You learn, you speak, you interact. You learn, you speak, and interact. And that generates, that inculcates, and that throw out different ideas and visions for that. We have your नेक्स्ट टॉपिक की यूजीसी एंड रोल इन डेवलपमेंट कॉलेज यूनिवर्सिटी लाइब्रेरी। ये हम आपको नेक्स्ट क्लास में करेंगे, क्योंकि 12 बजे से 11 बजे से बिली बस्ती में 2 घंटे की क्लास है। आई एम ए ह्यूमन बीइंग, मैं 4 घंटे लगातार बोलूँगा तो पता लगा घर पहुँचना मुश्किल है। लेट अस हैव 15 मिनट्स ब्रेक। आज आपका यहीं छोड़ते हैं, और आपका जो आखिरी एस्पेक्ट है यूजीसी एंड रोल इन डेवलपमेंट ऑफ कॉलेज एंड लाइब्रेरी, ये टेकअप करेंगे नेक्स्ट क्लास में। ओके, थैंक यू वेरी मच।